The views and opinions expressed on the following program may not necessarily reflect the views of the staff, management, or board of Hope Media Group and KSBJ. It's what's happening around us, in our town, suburb, city, in our community. It's Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Well, hello and welcome to Community Beat, where we're keeping you tuned into the topics that are impacting our local communities and helping them thrive. I'm your host, Kim Kasi McKee, Senior Director of Community Relations for KSBJ. Today, we're focusing on some healthy, wholesome fun and adventure for your family now that summer is here. My guest today is Justin Schultz with Houston Parks Board. We're going to be talking with Justin about the role of Houston Parks Board and how it oversees the implementation of parks and trails throughout Greater Houston that ties the city together. Well, welcome, Justin, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, Justin, tell us a little bit about what is Houston Parks Board?
Absolutely. So the Houston Parks Board is a nonprofit. We operate throughout the Houston region, and our mission is really to create, improve, protect, and advocate for parks for everyone. So we've been around for over 45 years. In that time, we've done everything from focusing on revitalizing small neighborhood pocket parks to helping to construct some of the largest park infrastructure throughout the city. And one of our biggest programs over the last decade has been a series of trails along 9 of our bayous called the Bayou Greenways. And we can talk more about that, but I think that's probably our largest project or program that folks really get to experience on a regular basis.
Oh, that is awesome. Justin, what is your role with the Parks Board?
Sure. So I oversee strategy and planning for the Houston Parks Board. So my job is really to think about our future, to think about where we can build new projects, who we can partner with, and how we can invest more in communities around the Houston area.
Wow. Well, based on what I saw about your educational background, this sounds like the perfect fit for you.
You know, it's really sort of a lifelong dream to be able to work at an organization like the Houston Parks Board. I grew up in Houston on the Southwest side, went to public school in Houston. And so I feel like growing up, I really got to see not only what Houston was all about, which is, the amazing diversity we have and the exciting public spaces that we have, but really after I left for college. So this was about 20 years ago. Since I left and then came back in 2020, what I saw most dramatically in Houston, beyond the growth of the city, which has been unbelievable, has been the investment in public spaces, in particular in our green and open spaces. I think Houston's great. Houston's always been great. But one of the things that we haven't done as good as some of our peers is really focus on parks and open space. And in the last 15, 20 years, with improvements to Emancipation Park, Buffalo Bayou Park, Memorial Park, Herman Park, and through investments that Houston Parks Board has made, such as the Bayou Greenways program, we've really seen a lot more focus on our outdoor space and how vital that is to our community and the resilience of our communities.
Absolutely. When you think about the pandemic in 2020, if we ever had a new appreciation for outdoor spaces, it was then. Because everyone was looking for a place for recreation and clean air and just to be able to find places to be with their families.
Yeah, I completely agree, Kim. And one of the best parts about going outside and, going to a park or a green space is that it's free. So, as we've seen inflation really jump over the last, year and a half, things have gotten harder for especially families to go out and be able to have affordable fun in Houston. And you can, no matter what your income, no matter what your family situation, you can always go to any of the parks, greenways, or green spaces that we have in our area. And there are just so many of them, and they vary in so much that you could basically go every single day. And even after 365 days in a year, you could still have new places to explore and to discover.
That is so amazing, Justin. That's why I wanted to have the show, knowing that school is out for many of our students and families will be looking for places to go and things to do. I wanted to be able to talk about the parks because many people have no idea how vast our park systems are, how many trails there are, even in their own areas. And I love what you said about the parks being free. My husband likes to call it the free things. It's free 99. So, to be able to find places that you can go with your family and just enjoying the beauty of nature and the things that are around us is very huge. So I see that Houston Parks Board is a major partner in Mayor Turner's 50/50 Park Partners initiatives. Could you explain that project and its benefits further, what that's all about?
Absolutely. So I mentioned that one of the things that the Parks Board has done throughout its 45 plus years in existence is to invest in neighborhood parks. And the city of Houston has over 350 parks all across the city. A huge number of those are neighborhood parks. And if you think about it, sure, having a Discovery Green, having a Memorial Park, having an Emancipation Park is great. Those are places that you might go to, meet up with your friends for a weekend event, or you may go see a concert there. But if you're really thinking about what parks people are going to on a daily basis, those are your neighborhood parks, the ones that you can walk to. I grew
Yes.
up a block from a park, and that was the park that I visited to, play basketball or just hang out with my friends after school. And so the Mayor Turner's 50/50 Park Partners program is a really innovative approach to investing in neighborhood parks. And what it did, it brought public money. So the city of Houston contributed half of the money, and then the Houston Parks Board is raising the other half of the money through private and philanthropic sources to invest in 23 neighborhood parks around the city. And what we're doing in each of these parks is really transformational. We're taking parks and we are adding new sports fields to them, new inclusive playgrounds. We're improving walking trails. One of the things that we heard from many communities is the need to add safety elements. So we're adding new lighting and upgraded lighting in many of these parks. We are from Sunnyside to Acres Homes to the Fifth Ward and everywhere in between. We are renovating by the end of this calendar year. So by the end of 2023, we will have 23 neighborhood parks completely renovated. And those parks are renovated based on input that we heard from the local communities. So we went in and we said, what do y'all want? Houston Parks Board knows how to build parks, but ultimately, we need each community to tell us what's the most important elements for parks in their neighborhood. And so it was different. Some places really said, we want the focus to be on lighting and security.
Okay.
Other places said, we really want more sports fields. Other places says we need more walking paths. And so each park that you'll see that we've renovated is slightly different, but really attuned to the needs, the priorities, and the desires of those individual communities.
Wow. Well, that is wonderful and so timely for me because I was walking today at my neighborhood park and my sister was walking in the neighborhood park where we grew up. And she said, well, Kim, the park across from the street from our old house, she said, it's being renovated right now. I said, really? It's a park on the north side. And she was very excited about the notable improvements that are taking place. And I'm sure that is a part of this overall initiative. And not to mention one of the trails that is nearby that ran across Parker Road and into some other areas. And so hats off to you guys and all of the work that you're putting into that. It really is making a difference for these areas. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So when planning a park improvement or new greenway, how does the organization gain input from community members? And I think you began talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we are building parks for the communities that those parks are in. We are building parks for Houstonians and for not only Houstonians today, but for Houstonians for generations to come. So it's incredibly important and vital for us to not see community engagement as sort of a side piece of the project, but really as a core to the success of any of our projects. So what we do, we have at least 2 or 3 meetings in each park with the community. And
Okay.
that means a number of things. We're having, public meetings where anyone can come, but we're also talking to community leaders. We work with churches and other religious organizations. We work with schools. We work with civic associations and homeowners associations, super neighborhoods, council districts, Harris County precincts and precinct districts. We work with other governmental entities like the Harris County Flood Control District and Complete Communities. All of these groups we bring to the table when we are thinking about a new park project, because ultimately we need each one of those groups to be involved and to have their input shared in order for it to be a successful project. So
Mhm.
we do that at the outset. And then we go back to communities after we've done the design of our project and we say, does this actually reflect what y'all are looking for? Are there improvements that we can make? Has the situation on the ground changed in a way that necessitates some other change? And I think one of the things that we've learned, especially in the last several years, is the importance in even our neighborhood parks of
Mhm.
integrating measures for community resilience. And that may mean making sure that the park improvements are supporting safety.
Okay.
That may mean that park improvements are supporting flood mitigation. No matter
Mm.
where you are in Houston, you have
Yes.
a risk of flooding. And so we make sure that in all of our projects, we are helping to mitigate for flooding by either adding detention to parks or including other biological initiatives that can help to promote natural ecosystems and other supports for climate resiliency.
Okay. That is awesome. So tell me, you mentioned a little bit about the bio greenways. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So our Bayou Greenway program is the largest program that we've had in the history of Houston Parks Board. This was another public-private partnership similar to the 50/50 Park Partners program, where we matched public money with privately raised money to really make a difference for the city of Houston. And so in 2012, the city of Houston voters decided that they wanted to invest in the Bayou Greenways program. And so they approved a bond measure that set aside $100 million to fund over 150 miles of greenways along our bayous throughout the city of Houston. Now, as part of that bond funding, the Houston Parks Board said that we were going to raise another $100 million to match that for a total investment of over $200 million. Now, at the end of the day, 10 years later or 11 years later, we've actually raised over $125 million in private investment. So
Wow.
we've been able to invest over $225 million in this program. To date, we have constructed or rehabilitated over 135 miles of greenways along many of the bayous, and we have another probably 20 miles to go that we'll be completing in the next couple of years. So whether you're on Greens Bayou or Hunting Bayou on the north or northeast side, using Sims Bayou or Brays Bayou on the south side of Houston, or White Oak Bayou Greenway, which is our most popular greenway. If you have not been out to White Oak Bayou Greenway, you have to go. You can go
Mm.
from downtown all the way past the loop, going northwest, spreading all the way up to Inwood. You can go along a dedicated greenway. You see tons of different neighborhoods. It's really amazing to get out on either that greenway or any other greenways and see parts of Houston that you'd never experienced before.
Wow. And that's whether walking, riding bikes, and the like. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's absolutely. All of our greenways are concrete, or most of them are concrete,
Okay.
usually about 10 feet wide. There's signage that will show you, where you are and where you can go on the greenways. But we
Hmm.
encourage people to go out there and ride their bikes, rollerblade, to walk, to run, to take your dog out. I mean, you can do anything on our greenways. And the great thing about the greenways is in many cases, they connect to other parks. So you can take a greenway and then connect that into a neighborhood park, or take a greenway and connect that into a shopping area or a place to grab lunch or, have a drink. So we really view these as almost like a highway system for bikes and for people. And, in Houston, everything's so car centric. So
Mm-hmm.
what we say is it's like a highway system, but what we really just see this as another transportation network, just one that is not car centric and is people centric.
I love that. That is a great description. So if you're just tuning in, my guest is Justin Schultz. He is with Houston Parks Board, is involved in strategy and planning, and we're just letting you know about all of the wonderful green spaces. In fact, I believe he's talked about 135 miles of greenways all throughout the greater Houston area that you can take advantage of all summer long with your family. All of these beautiful parks and trails that you can rollerblade or ride your bicycle, walk your baby in a stroller, walk with your friends, all of this that really doesn't cost you anything but your time. And so we just wanted to bring you this show so that you can learn more about Houston Parks Board and what it does to make all of this possible, and to give you some ideas of how you can take advantage of all of these spaces throughout the summer. So, Justin, in your opinion, why is access to parks, trails, and green space so important in building thriving neighborhoods? And what are the benefits you see through your work?
Absolutely. I mean, I think parks and open space do a number of things. One, they help connect communities. So if you're out in your neighborhood park, if you're out on a greenway and you see, other members of your community, it provides added connections. It provides that social glue that is not only critical to, I think, health and happiness, but as we've seen in the last couple of years with the pandemic, it's really critical to make sure that people's mental well-being stays in a positive place. And that social glue, that social cohesion, I think is one of the biggest benefits of parks and open space. Now, another benefit, and this isn't just something that, I'm saying, this is something that academic literature backs up. There are proven health benefits for being outside, being in parks and in open space. We've done some analysis ourselves that shows users of the Bayou Greenway system in Houston have lower incidence of different physical ailments, everything from heart attacks to other chronic conditions. We know that in addition, being outside and being in that natural air also gives you better air quality in a lot of cases than some indoor air, which can have air quality issues. So I would say there's the health benefits, there's the social benefits, and then lastly, it's fun.
That's right.
You get to go out and you get to, explore a new part of Houston. Our city is amazing. We have an unbelievable city, and just to be able to use green space as a way to explore your own city is, I think, one of the unsung benefits of both the Bayou Greenway system, but also Houston Park system in general. There are some amazing parks in Houston. They're, like you said, Kim, they're free. Get out there and enjoy them. They're your parks.
That's awesome. Well, you have certainly encouraged me to take even more advantage of parks beyond my own community. And in particular, I can't wait to go to White Oak Bayou Greenway.
Yes.
Just hearing you talk about that. So are there some other Houston Parks Board initiatives that are on the horizon that you'd like to mention?
Sure. And before I say that, Kim, we encourage you and the rest of your listeners to go and explore our different parks and greenways throughout Houston. You can always go to houstonparksboard.org. We have a map there of all of the greenways that shows where there are any temporary construction closures, because it wouldn't be Houston if there wasn't ongoing construction, even on our greenway. So
That's right.
Definitely check out the map to make sure that the greenway you want to go to is open. But in addition to the Bayou Greenways program, we talked about our 50/50 Park Partners program, where we're investing in revitalizing neighborhood parks. There are also some other projects that we're working on. We broke ground earlier this spring on an amazing project in the Inwood neighborhood, sort of northwest Houston.
Okay.
In that neighborhood, we are working alongside Harris County Flood Control District and the City of Houston in creating a series of recreational amenities along detention basins. So Detention basins, let's talk about those for a little bit. Flood control builds these all over the city. And
Yes.
people, when I was younger and I would drive by, I would say, what's that, big hole in the ground? Like, what's the
Right.
purpose of that? They
Mm-hmm.
may seem like sort of, afterthoughts. They are critical infrastructure to our flood mitigation and flood control in Houston.
Okay.
The work that Harris County Flood Control District does is unbelievable in helping to protect the property, the lives, and the livelihoods of Houstonians. And so we love to partner with them. They will often build these detention basins, and they are constructed to hold water during floods and to make sure that that water stays out of people's homes and businesses. But what we are able to do is to come in and say, you know what, let's have these be assets for the community beyond just flood control. Let's add trails along them. Let's add other recreational elements, playgrounds, benches, plantings, so that people can use them 365 days a year. And so the Inwood Project is a great one where we are going in, we're working alongside flood control in the city to help add these recreational elements to the neighborhood. This is up by Eisenhower High School, so it will be an asset to the students up there. And we think projects like this, and we are looking at similar projects in other parts of the city, are a great way to add multiple benefits, to layer those benefits, which also helps to make Houston more resilient.
That is awesome information. So, Justin, tell me, how can families, and you mentioned it, just if you'll reiterate, where do families go to learn more about all of the spaces, the green spaces and the parks and trails that are available to them throughout our city?
You can always go, whether you're on your mobile phone or at your home, to houstonparksboard.org. That will have resources on the parks that we are involved in. It has a map of the Bayou Greenways, and it will also talk to you about some of the other programs that we do, one of which is really cool. It's called Agents of Discovery. This is an app on your phone that it's great for kids, but it's also great for kids of any age, to download this app, and it will take you on an interactive tour in different parks. So we change these throughout the year to focus on different parks. But right now we have different missions both on the San Jacinto Bayou Greenway in sort of Northeast Houston. So we have that going through June 30th. So these missions, you typically will walk along a park or a greenway. This one's about a half to 3/4 of a mile, but it gives fun challenges for kids to answer. And it's just a great way to get kids more involved in parks. It uses augmented reality. So it has that tech angle that everyone loves to see. It's sort of like Pokemon Go, but for parks.
I love that. And you said it's called Agents of Discovery?
Agents of Discovery. So on our website, you can find more information on that, or you can go to the App Store and download Agents of Discovery.
Awesome. So, Justin, is there anything else people should know about enjoying the outdoor spaces all throughout our city?
So there are two more things that I would love for people to be aware of. One would be, I mentioned that all of the parks that we work in aren't our parks. They're your parks. They're Houston's neighborhood parks. And so if anyone is interested in getting involved in helping to volunteer in your parks, we have regular monthly green team events. This is where community members can come out and help us to either provide maintenance or help us with some of our conservation programs. We do everything from planting native species to planting trees. We do this all around Houston every month. So you can go to our website at houstonparksboard.org. You can search for Green Team and find out where the next opportunity to volunteer with our Green Team is. Now, if I were you, I would maybe wait until the fall when it gets a little cooler if you don't like to be outside in this Houston heat during the summer.
That's a good tip.
But you can do that. And also on our website, if you or your organization or the business that you work for are interested in donating to any of the projects that we talked about today, you can always do that. We love to go out and talk to schools, talk to other businesses about the work that we do, because again, our work isn't successful if the community is not involved. So I would just encourage everyone to go out, support your parks either by showing up to events, showing up to volunteer, or just showing up to use your parks. It's actually really important just to go out into your parks to help build community, to have other people see that parks are important. We have a mayoral election this fall in the city of Houston. We're going to get a new mayor. Mayor Turner has been such an inspiration for the last 8 years to help push parks and the importance of parks and green space for Houston and for Houstonians. We want the next mayor to be as supportive as Mayor Turner has been. And so make sure when you're thinking about the future of Houston, you're thinking about the importance of parks in that equation, because without parks, Houston isn't Houston.
That's right. That is right. Wow. Well, you have certainly shared a lot of very, very useful information. We've been speaking with Justin Schultz, who does strategy and planning with Houston Parks Board, and has shared with us about all of the amazing resources that are available to us every day of the year through our various parks and trails throughout Greater Houston. And so we just want to say thank you, Justin, for the work that you and along with others at Houston Parks Board, all of the wonderful work that you're doing to make our parks even better throughout our city.
Thanks, Kim. I hope to see you outside.
Absolutely. You sure will. And as always, thank you to our wonderful audience for joining us today. We hope you and your family will take full advantage of the 134 plus miles of Bayou Greenway trails that are accessible and open to the public each day. And to learn more about the parks and trails in your area, as Justin mentioned, go to HoustonParksBoard.org. There is an Explore Parks tab there that contains a comprehensive map of all of the Bayou Greenway trails and recommended trips to take for a variety of interests. And he also mentioned an app called Agents of Discovery that you will also find available on their website. So we say to each of you, may you and your family have a safe, healthy, and happy summer, enjoying the parks and the trails all throughout the Greater Houston area. So please join us again next week for another edition of Community Beat. I'm Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Thanks for joining us for Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee. Join us every Saturday morning at 5:30 on 89.3 KSBJ.